What's up, guys? Welcome to my first video ever, first official video ever. I'm making this episode a little more podcasty. That's why you see this mic right here, and I'm super stoked. Today's episode is one of my fundamental philosophies in life, and that's being messy. I need to speak about it because starting is so much more important than not starting at all. I just think it needs to be talked about. So to jump straight into the point, I believe you should be messy and just go along with it and learn as you go rather than trying to learn everything beforehand and being ultra prepared for something, because at the end of the day that's just going to stop you from even getting your hands dirty with the thing in the first place. And you might be prioritizing certain aspects of the learning that may actually be intuitive for you, but you wouldn't have known that if you didn't get, hands-on and seeing where you actually lack in ability, and then prioritize that as what you'll be studying. I'm a huge believer in just being super incredibly messy. I'm gonna give you an example with this. When it comes to writing, I hate being the type of person that I just write one or two lines and I make it sound beautiful. However, I have pages left, or I'm not even close to scratching the surface of what I'm trying to express on that piece of paper. And my whole thing is you should literally vomit on the paper. Not literally, I'm sorry. You should vomit on the paper and get all your ideas down. Make it sound like shit. Like, go out of your way to make it sound like shit, so that way you have speed, because speed is so valuable when it comes to just getting your ideas sorted out and trying to deliver that to someone that's not you and may not completely understand contextually what you mean. And so getting your point across being the most valuable aspect of communication requires you to be messy at first and then clean that shit after. But if you don't freaking go straight into it being messy, you're bound to have a perfectionist mindset, and when you try to be perfect, it really just halts you from being able to grasp the full scope of what you're trying to say. And that can be a huge detriment if you're trying to deliver some impactful stuff, or even if you're trying to communicate yourself, which is completely frustrating when people don't understand what you mean. So yeah, that's my highest advice when it comes to actual craft, producing content. That would be my 2 cents on that aspect. However, I also believe that with messiness comes this mindset of being okay with everything not being perfect. And that is something I have to emphasize over and over again, because all you fuckers literally want to make the most perfect shit out there. But the issue with that is nothing is ever perfect. That doesn't mean you shouldn't refine your work. You shouldn't refine what you're trying to say and improve the way you're delivering something with less words, with less movements. But if it ever gets to the point that it actually stops you from doing, it's just not worth dwelling on that, because that's friction. And if you have friction, if you have extra weights on your shoulder, it's going to stop you from going as far as you intentionally wished you would. Another thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to messiness is I wanted to give you a real life example. Of course, maybe not someone you've met personally, but I'm pretty sure you've heard the name Leonardo da Vinci. He is one of the most messiest fuckers that I've ever read about that's not from our time. And what's completely fascinating about that is that he would pick up a project and he would devote himself entirely to it until he became bored, or he couldn't add elements that he wanted to add because he hadn't learned it yet. But instead of just focusing on making this one thing perfect, and he didn't have all the tools for it and he wasn't prepared for it, he just put it to the side. This man had so many side projects that he would constantly work on throughout his life, that once he grasped enough of a skill set to then complete the next part, he would go back years later to a project that he started in his youth to then finish it, and would become remarkable. But what's so admirable about that quality is that you're not just sticking to one thing. You're on the move, you're on the go. You do what you can do wherever you can do it in that specific moment, Move forward and paint as many tiles as you possibly can, so that way you get more tiles at the end of the day. Because if you just focused on one tile, that would take you so much time. It would really be a detriment to all the other tiles you're trying to cover. I don't know if you exactly got that example, but let me give you another one just to give a better sense of what I'm trying to say. Every single teacher that's good, at least, when they're advising you to how to take a test, which can be applicable to many things in life, believe it or not, whether or not you do believe or don't believe in the school system, there's that fact. When you're taking a test, you don't spend up too much time on one question that you don't know the answer to. Because if that was 10 out of 50 questions, it would stop you from answering the 40, hopefully easier questions that you could answer. And so you just continue to go and you set the first fundamental layer before you go back and refine. It just makes sense and it's intuitive. And you might think, dude, this is common sense. Why are you saying this? If it's such common sense, then what's up with the hesitation? What's up with not completely acting 1,000,000% into what you're doing, and that gridlock that you put in within your own mind to even start doing the shit you want to do? It's that simple. You just start doing it. You be messy as fuck and not care about the judgment of everybody else while you are being messy. So what if you make some spills and some people don't like that? There has to be struggle before there is growth. It's just the sequence of how things work when it comes to growth. So in my complete perspective, I think you should be the most messy motherfucker you can possibly be. But just make sure you're starting. The moment you start and you start to actually see what it is you need, you're gonna end up way further than if you're trying to over prepare the fuck out of that first step. First step's always important. So take that shit today. I hope this motivates even one of you to do something out of your comfort zone, out of what you're used to, change shit up. Because another one of my philosophies that I will talk about is that to get different results, you need to do different things. And so if shit ain't working out, let this be one of the things that you implement that's new, if it is new, to start getting to where you want to be. Alright guys, thank you so much. I'm super stoked to make more video content. Looking forward to it. Have a great one.